Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome to SimSpeed TV. Welcome to Ozicar and the return of the Formula Skip Barber. It's the 13th overall season of Ozicar, and it's our 13th in the Formula Skip Barber. Back in a well-worn groove in a classic racing car for this 6-round season to kick us off here at Oulton Park. Great to have you. David Haynes here with Daniel Yeaman and Jay Kennedy as we look forward to two exciting races from Oulton Park. The weather, always a question in the UK, and then everyone getting reaccustomed to the Formula Skip Barber. It used to be the single-seater car on iRacing, and now we've just absolutely spoiled for content, Dan.
Yeah, we certainly are. It's a car that I had a bit of pleasure having a bit of fun around in, not with Ozicar, unfortunately. My previous dalliances as a driver on Ozicar were in the Turbo Touring Car series. But nevertheless, it's and also seeing the fact that we get a chance to see it with some wet weather, well, clearing water tonight as well, means it's keeping up with the times despite being a car of the days of old in some respects.
This is where Oulton Park is, up into north. It's actually not quite in Yorkshire. It's over near Wrexham and Liverpool and Wales. And it's alongside the lake. And this is the version, the configuration that we're going to be racing on today. It's the International without chicanes. So it is flat out and it is high speed. Turn 1, descending downhill. Turn 2 is all about positioning yourself for the run through turn 3. In today's weather conditions, turn 4, which would ordinarily be flat out for these cars, might be a bit challenging, and then turn 5 hairpin.
Yeah, that's just the first half of the lap, David. You come out of the shallowest corner hairpin, you're going to have to get now the run all the way to Knickerbrook, and that should hopefully mean we'll see some good overtaking opportunity despite it being a medium speed corner there at turn 7. Run up and over Clay Hill to turn 10, ever turning left really, and setting back up for the right-hander that is turn 10. And then it's a pretty short run, but nevertheless still very important to get back to the end of the lap and then get up over the hill on the crest of the start-finish stretch.
They're getting ready for race 1 of 2, 20 minutes or 11 laps. Cameron Dance is the pole sitter from Tom Freer. John, is that correct? Yes, it is. Now it's got the times on it as well. Tom Freer from John Merritt and Luke Sincotta, Sean Doyle and Trevor Hearn is our first 3 rows. Tim Harris, Mark Paneris, Craig Tilson, Mark Bowman, Ira Felberg and Gavin Barber as the top 12. Everyone is all out in force. Jeremy Bush, Adam Miles, Neil Gardner, Jamie Stovold, Adrian Duke and Brodie Shepherd. Nathan Verney, Warren Henry, Brett Gerards, Daniel Stevens, Peter Wilkinson and Elliot D. And there should be 4 more drivers. Leon Williams, John Snell, David Bowman, Peter Bowling. So many drivers without qualifying times because it was 1 lap in the wet. So difficult to set a clean lap time. Half of the field haven't, and they'll now have to go racing in the same conditions for 11 laps. The run towards turn 1 Cameron Dance getting away well. Tom Freer in the blue car alongside him. Everyone with a pretty even start in this really tall first gear that the Skip Barber cars have got. And instantly you can see the rooster tails. The drivers are hunting for grip every which way they can get it. And I don't think the grass is going to offer much.
No, that was a lot of cars in the front of the order, all running off the road. They're trying to stay away from the puddles at the apex of turn 1 as we come on down here to the third turn. First time in racing conditions, already seeing drivers push the limits. The main thing is, whilst we're looking here in the mid-pack, single file for the most part, we're getting a bit of two wide action up towards the front of the field. John Merritt past Luke Sincotta. No, they're going to be side by side through the corner here as we come up to Shellow's corner for the first time, and that is a test for a lot of them there, but we get it sorted out. Still too wide here for third place between Merritt and Sincotta, nearly touching wheels, middle and exit, but we get on through. A bit more too wide there through the middle of the pack, David, as they try and get into a bit of a rhythm here as here comes the draft out of the hairpin.
Graphical update to Oulton Park in the most recent iRacing build as well. If it looks a little bit different than you remember it of times past, and this is Tom Freer, 2 wheels in the wet, 2 wheels in the grass as he looks for the race lead. They've got to break a little bit in these conditions to be able to head up the hill, and there's a sizable puddle there as Luke Sincotta is going to find out. John Merritt has an even better run up the hill than him and goes into the third place. So Tom Freer takes the lead. John Merritt takes third. That track is still wet, but we're not expecting any more rain. This should continue to improve as we go, but it looks super treacherous right now coming towards the end of the first lap.
Dancing around, Mark Bowman further on back in the field is just off the road on the outside of turn 10 and struggling to get back in line as the leaders here trying to sort this out. Dancing into the inside of Freer in the puddles at the turn 11 here as you come over the crest the first lap. And it's going to be Freer, Dance and Merritt nose to tail, all three of them. The front of the field is a car already into the pit lane. There in the mid-pack is going to be Adam Miles by the looks of things. As, Freer off the road at turn 1. He's in the weeds.
The leader's touch and Tom Freer gets sent wide. Turn 1 finds the wall on the exit there. Pit stop rules is a 2-tyre change required in this race, and a couple of drivers have jumped for that early. Ira Felberg, Adam Miles, you can see them all in the lane here getting their new front tyres on. Ira Felberg, Warren Henry, Brodie Shepherd. But John Merritt leads this one now. Dance and Freer losing spots. Sincotta had that moment earlier on. Now John Merritt is the race leader. Look at Dance struggling. He's got broken front suspension.
Yeah, that is a strong possibility. I am just wondering if it's maybe a protracted redress attempt.
No,
Further on back in the field, we had a couple of cars off through the hit. Tilson, Elliot D, and I can't pick up the third car. Jeremy Bush have all gone off here through turn 4, unfortunately. So that's been our next bit of trouble here. All kicking off on the second lap, if not the first. 2 mechanical black flags in the form of Tilson and Bush there after turn 4.
Dance's front left A-arm was definitely bent the wrong way. Jeremy Bush, you can see that car's low at the front with the damage that he has got. Yeah, so Bush and Tilson are both going to need to pit sooner rather than later. Bush's car's also crabbing pretty badly, suggesting some rear suspension out of alignment as well. Slipping and sliding on the puddles. It's your top 2. They've got 2 seconds in their pocket to third place Sean Doyle, Trevor Hearn and Tim Harris. And that's just a little bit late to the contact in turn 1. Just maybe Tom Freer with a bit of momentum around the outside. Cam Dance shutting that door, and the two of them come together.
What I had a quick look at it, I rewound it. Because I was caught out by that while I was looking at who was pitting. It was a case of, it really was like Dance made quite the mistake and just drove into the back of the Freer. As there we go. We'll catch it here, under brakes in towards turn 1. We may need a different angle perhaps, but we'll just see it if Cam pops out, and it's just going to be a push here, left front to right rear.
Getting around the grass the long way around the outside of turn 1 for Freer, who's right back into the action. Trevor Hearn, Cam Dance. Tim Harris is up into third. Oh, that's around in the background for Sean Doyle, I think. Yet more drama and heaps more cars coming to pit lane for their stop. It was Doyle. He was as high as third at one point. Now Dance is off the road again.
Yeah, the Island Bend is claiming its victims. Thankfully, a very momentary departure from the circuit for Dance means he's able to keep it on the black stuff, but then nearly loops it on the exit of Shellow's corner. So finds the car behind him that you got no front wingers. We're going to have a look at This is the previous lap. So this is Tilson, Bush, and Elliot D. And is that 1, 2, 3 all going? Yeah, and then crashes in. Ah, it is. So yeah, unfortunately, the 45 is Jeremy Bush making contact with Craig Tilson, who had his own moment at the island bend by himself that he ran into. Unfortunately, yes. Up the hill we go with Neil Gardner back alive. David, interesting to see that doesn't actually have an iRacing flag associated with his profile. I have not seen the unaffiliated sign before.
No, that's exciting. And where I'm looking at it on my timing screen as well, there's just an empty spot. No flag. So no Australian flag, no New Zealand flag, no iRacing flag like Elliot D, no British flag like Adam Miles. We are going to see the reigning champion having made the stop and super struggling through turn 3.
Oh dear. So yeah, a little over moment there. So we've had some trouble at Lodge Corner between Peter Bowling and Peter Wilkinson. They've actually broken the left rear of Wilkinson's car in that moment there. So right next to the pits, but that's going to, as you see here for Wilkinson, now limping his way to the pits in a protracted and painful manner, to say the least. As fastest lap goes to Adam Miles, a 1:53.0 here on end of lap 3, start of lap 4. We're going to have a look at this one again. Let's take a car off to the side there, but I don't think involved just yet. We wait to see, David, what the replay tells us.
No, that's a spin, and then it snaps back to the inside, breaks part of the rear suspension there for Wilkinson, and then you can see he's got one tyre spinning, throwing up a rooster tail like a jet ski or a wake boat or something. Adam Miles. Not Tim Miles. Adam Miles was one of the first drivers to stop, got himself some clean air, and that's where the fastest lap of the race has come from. So, interesting strategic decision from Miles. John Merritt, Luke Sincotta carry on in first and second. Tom Freer in third. And here's Cam Dance versus Tim Harris for fourth. Dance working his way back through, and it is work.
Still sliding it up and over Druids, as there's Sean Doyle, who is currently running by himself at the moment in 8th place. But he's one of our drivers on Zoom tonight, so have a quick look at him here as he tries to get the car up and over Druids himself, and looked a little bit more in control, I might say, than Cameron Dance here. But I guess at the same time, these kinds of cars, if you're not a little bit on the slip angle, especially in conditions like this, are you driving them fast enough? And some might say no is the answer, as Dance to the pit lane going to be the first of the drivers inside of what is currently the top 10 to make that choice.
Yeah, all the pit stops looking somewhere between 11 and 13 seconds. Dance is 9.7. He's always done this. He's always managed to bribe his pit crew somehow. He gets a quick stop, but he's still going to be behind. Alongside Adam Miles. So this is Dance and Adam Miles, the two highest running cars to have made their pit stops already. Miles might have a bit more tyre temperature right now. Dance around the outside of the Cascades will try to stay in front. This very well could end up being for the race win. It's not just yet with the time that John Merritt's got in his back pocket. Miles now to the inside of the fast left-hander, but around the outside in these weather conditions should offer a fair bit of grip for Cameron Dance to try to keep the upper hand.
Works nicely indeed. Also just able to pinch Miles a tiny bit there through the island bend and deny him a clean run, as then really trying to hustle it through Shell Oil's corner. Another free chance, though, for Miles, of course, to get the run here all the way up to Knickabrook. And there you go, the draft. It's superior by the time we even come through the king that counts as turn 6 here on this particular layout. So they need to settle down, as you said. John Merritt, Luke Sincotta, maybe even Tom Freer. Those were the three cars ahead of Cam Dance. So that's the drivers we sort of need to be keeping sort of our eyes on when it comes to margins, gaps, and times. As if these two keep scrapping, they'll just allow those drivers to go long and maintain steady pace and potentially pop back out in front. Going to go to a replay here. Is this with Sean Doyle? Saying here it's an overtake. So this will be on Nathan Verney. And you can see here, nice draft up and over the crest here. And then we're going to just come on down towards Knickabrook corner, and job done fairly early on. It's back live, David, and it's still on here between these two. They cannot decide to back off, it seems.
Miles got down the inside, a couple of corners back, then went in hot, too deep, touch the wet curb on the outside, and that's where the water pools, and you don't want to be hitting the curb like Adam Miles did. Let Dance get back into it somewhat. This is the kind of angle that they get. The Skip Barber on these tyres always had a little bit of attitude about it, but in the wet, even more so. There isn't, or they're not on a wet weather tyre. This is the treaded all-weather tyre, and the two have come together at the Cascades. Miles half spins and dances out wide and into the grass and gets sideways as well. All of this plays to the advantage of John Merritt in race one. Luke Potter not too far behind him either. They battle through one, and at turn 3, contact between them. Dance comes off the better.
Hangs on to it, but only just. And the main thing I want to also look at this here, John Merritt currently has got the lap speed to beat everyone at this stage. 152.9. In fact, the only driver on the last lap except for Adam Miles. So actually that puts it in a bit of context there that Dance has done something close to a 152 minus the time taken in the pits. So the problem is on this lap there, that scrapping might hurt them because remember the Dance came in from about 4 or 5 seconds behind Merritt. So that's what we should be expecting for Merritt in terms of his advantage on pit exit when he eventually comes to the lane. It won't be this time though. He stays out on track, David.
So with some decent pace out there. Neil Gardner's the third running car to stop. Trevor Hearn just runs a little bit wide. Luke Sincotta pits from second. John Merritt finding an increasingly drying track and increasingly warm tyres gives him even more speed. So running long, finding the clean air is working well at the moment for Merritt. I think you're going to get wet socks in Trevor Hearn's position, racing in the wet, missing part of your nose cone.
Yeah, that's certainly not ideal in any stretch. Actually, it's almost like, yeah, it looks like the paint's chipped, if ever that was such a thing. I just have to wonder, is that intentional? Is that damage? Because it's, I actually think that's, because the wing, I will admit, I thought for a moment that it had no front wing. But no, there is a front wing on that one. There's a replay coming here of Dance, just going to do a bit of lawn mowing on the exit of the Old Hall corner. And going to probably allow Adam Miles to get that little bit closer again. It's back live. There, the battle between Duke and Hearn on for 10th place on the road. As there you go, Luke Sincotta in and out of the pits, and he comes out 3 seconds clear of Dance, thanks to the way everything's been going on around.
Yeah, the battling that had happened, Sincotta was just in second place, tailing John Merritt, running a little bit deeper into this race and running cleanly. Adrian Duke's gotten ahead of Trevor Hearn, but now needs to fight to defend it. Daniel Stephens smells an opportunity. The way the banking is at this turn 5 hairpin, I think you can go all the way around the outside, and Daniel Stephens is just going to rip the berm and the high line and go just plain around the outside of Trevor Hearn. That is karting in the wet stuff from Daniel Stephens. He's nailed it perfectly as we look at his onboard.
Yeah, all of these little tricks of the trade that if you're confident and comfortable and you have a bit of a feeling of what to do, you can certainly execute them here, especially on a car like this. As stops 093. That'd be Timothy Harris. Yep, out of 4th place he was, and has towed back to the pits with the mechanical black flag for him. So nasty spot of trouble there. I'll have to try and see if we can figure out how that's unfortunately happened to the 093. Here it is on the replay, David. So up out of Knickerbrook.
Heading up the hill, you've got almost blind on the way in, double apex right-hander here, and he just doesn't slow it or get it turned in, finds the puddle. Someone else was already off there that might have distracted him. And getting airborne and going through the gravel has done the damage. It's that hard landing. Back here, Miles and Dance. There might be a point to prove from Miles. He might even think that he could catch Luke Sincotta. Sincotta's only just ahead of them at this point. And Miles does get a good run out of turn 3. Inside for turn 4, but you want to run wide to find the grip, but you've got to stay on the pavement and not get that grass. That's where Dance nearly ended up. Miles has mastered this really, really wide line through turn 5. And while he loses sort of a car length through the corner, seems to shoot off the corner with a little bit more speed. Car length back now. Cam Dance is in the slipstream. Miles goes across to the right-hand side, will be the inside for the next corner. Offers up the outside as an option for Dance, who backs out of any overlap going into Knickerbrook.
Yeah, a bit of patience, perhaps. I mean, Cincotta is only 1.5 seconds up the road. And Verney will then is close by, but needs a pit stop, so will presumably drop down the order.
Speaking of those pit stops, John Merritt, the race leader, is going to come in to make his. We've only got a lap or so left of the compulsory pit stop window. Tom Freer is going to use all of the window, and Nathan Verney likewise, but everyone else in the field looks to have made their compulsory pit stop, and where John Merritt blends out could be oh so important. He wants to be ahead of Cincotta, he wants to be ahead of Adam Miles, he wants to be ahead of Cameron Dance, and I think comfortably he will be with the kind of pace that he had in the middle of this race.
Yeah, it should be reasonably comfortable, but just seeing now as Cincotta, Miles and Dance all come through turn one, he's only about 3 or 4 seconds up the road as we speak. They do have traffic though right in front of them at this very moment. The car in question being Peter Bowling as Adam Miles takes advantage down into Cascades. Will get past Cincotta through turn 3. Dance tries to do something similar but can't get on through, and now we've got 2x2 which involves a lap car. Oh, Dance gets parked. Can't get past as a result of a bit of a lift there, I think, from Bowling as the lap car. And then a contact. Oh, Cincotta's grabbed the rear of Adam Miles as we come through the island bend. And it's going to be Dance pops through the middle and survives this one here. Lap 9, the fight for second is furious here. At least it's currently second on the road. If they keep scrapping like this, Tom Freer might just pop out in and around them after his pit stop is done here.
Yeah, so Freer, the only car left that hasn't stopped. John Merritt will probably come back into the race lead. Cincotta's got to run back at Dance here. Which way is the grippy side of the racetrack, heading through the kink right-hander into the uphill? Looks like the inside's worked out pretty well for Dance. Miles is right back in them, and that's what this kind of weather conditions brings us. You can close these gaps so quickly. This is Cincotta versus Miles on the replay. And in the live pictures, Miles is now back ahead of Cincotta, so it could be Merritt first, Dance second, Miles third, Tom Freer in the lane to make the final compulsory pit stop. And I suspect he'll be behind this group, but it could be close.
Around 21 seconds before he came into the pits, I think he'll be behind by about 2 to 4 seconds, I'd say. We'll watch to see what the numbers look like as these three come past the pit lane and through the Old Hall corner as Freer tries to bring his skip Barber up from the pit speed limit here at Oulton Park. And yes, he will have to settle for a 3 and a bit seconds behind in 5th place. But very much with the way these lot are fighting, 2 laps to go, there's every opportunity to be in a position to progress.
So this second, third, and fourth now. Tom Freer just behind them by 4 or 5 seconds with 1.5 laps to go at this point. Adam Miles has had such good speed at all sorts of times. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's looking for that around the outside slingshot again. And he will get a good exit to keep this pressure on Dance. If this was a time attack, if it was a hot lap, I think Adam Miles would have Cameron Dance covered. But Dance, a multiple-time champion of Ozicar in the Skip Barber, is just so wily in these conditions and in the racecraft, which is what you need. Side by side to Knickerbrook. Oh, the two are going to touch again. Dance across the grass and running wide Adam Miles. Cincotta up the hill with all the momentum. John Merritt approaching 5 seconds ahead of all of this shenaniganry. Could be headed to the first win of the season, but this is the kind of battling you hope for from the Skip Barber in Ozicar.
How that didn't end up worse for both Miles or Dance, I don't know. As Sean Doyle and Trevor Hearn going at it for 10th place still in this race as they try and sort things out here amongst them, as into the lodge corner for our top, well, second, third, fourth. It's not our top 3 because, as I said, our race leader is checking out with every single lap. They will see the white flag in Barney's hands at the start-finish line. And we're going to have to now keep our eyes on 2 battles in this race, David, because it is very much alive and well here at Oulton Park as we get this final lap of the first race underway.
What's the opposite of a lazy eye? That's what I've got, keeping an eye on both of these. I've got very, very busy eyes. Cameron Dance in that second place. Sean Doyle ahead of Trevor Hearn for the moment. Trevor Hearn has not set a clean lap this race as they come towards the white flag. Now he has. Took him 9 laps before he could do it. John Merritt's lead ever increasing. Just noticed how corny Trevor Hearn's livery is. He's going to look for the outside of Sean Doyle, heading down to the Cascades at 3. Adam Miles, with the kind of 1-lap pace that he's got, can he pull off anything on this final lap? He's directly underneath Sincotta's rear wing, heading onto the longest, fastest, slipstreamiest straight of the race.
Question is, do they catch Dance here or not? And if, when they do, who's the one in position? Sincotta looking to the outside of Dance. Miles stays in behind as we come up here to the Knickabrook corner for the last time in race 1. And Sincotta's in too deep. Inside is open for Adam Miles and immediately continues the assault. Gets a good run as we come up over Clay Hill towards Druids here. Merritt's gap now is still around 4 seconds. It actually has held fairly steady as we're going to have to now watch this here. Your leader on the bottom of the screen. The fight for second on the top here is side by side, not an inch given, and the bare minimum taken as a result. This is looking good here as we come up towards the Lodge corner as drag run through the final turn seems to be on the cards. But for John Merritt, a clean execution from start to finish. Bit of side-to-side contact out of the corner for second. Merritt takes the checkered flag, but it looks like Adam Miles will get second place here in race number 1.
Well, it was all about that run up the hill from Knickabrook for Adam Miles to get past Dance and Sincotta on the final lap. John Merritt simply perfect as Ozicar is back in the Skip Barber. Other battles all through this 28-car field to be sorted on the final lap. Sean Doyle versus Trevor Hearn stays ahead. Brody Shepherd versus Nathan Verney. Mark Paneris versus Elliot D. Leon Williams versus Craig Tilson as well. So the timing goes all the way through the field and to the very end of the final lap. Paneris and D, the only driver flying the iRacing flag, gets a really great switchback through that very, very final corner, but the short run to the line will keep Paneris just ahead. Warren Henry versus Tim Harris. No, that's not where the track goes, Tim.
And Tim, second time out in the dirt at Druids. First time it happened, broke his left rear drive shaft. So thankfully avoids that fate, it seems, on this second time. So he'll get back to the line here and we'll have to consolidate for a 19th place finish. Still ends up on the lead lap despite having to tow the car back from Druids about halfway through the race. And you can look all the way down to about Mark Bowman, I believe, as being coming up to the finish. Even Peter Wilkinson.
Peter Wilkinson looks like he's going to be the last driver on the lead lap. He had that damage and then his pit stop, but he didn't have to tow. So it cost him a fair bit of time, but he did remain on the lead lap. That'll give him 25th, so ahead of Jeremy Bush, Peter Bowling, and Brett Gerards. That could matter as I think we get a progressive grid from race 1 into race 2, which will also be 11 laps. Brings race 1 to its conclusion, and we look at the results. Ozicar Formula Skip Barber is back in a big way at Oulton Park Circuit. John Merritt taking the first victory from Adam Miles. Returning champion Cameron Dance in third. Luke Sincotta, he was all in and amongst it and had a good strategy to boot too. And Tom Freer completes that top 5. The Ozicar defending champion from Formula Ford last season, Jamie Stovall, there in 6th. And Neil Gardner, Daniel Stevens, Adrian Duke, and Sean Doyle as the top 10 in a spread field, as you expect on a wet race track. Trevor Hearn, Brody Shepherd, Nathan Verney, Gavin Barber, Mark Paneris, Elliot D, John Snell, Warren Henry, Tim Harris, and David Bowman. And then the last drivers on the lead lap, Leon Williams, Craig Tilson, Ira Felberg, Mark Bowman, and Peter Wilkinson. Bush and Bowling a lap down. Brett Gerards, an early retirement from Oulton Park. No more rain expected, so the track will keep drying up as we then look towards race 2. This is how things finished up last season from Ozicar Formula Ford. Like we said, Jamie Stovall, the champion, from Tim Harris and Tom Freer. Lots of drivers have made that jump from the Formula Ford to join us in the Skip Barber.
Yeah, indeed. 38th season of Ozicar since Ira Felberg started out the series on whole, and yeah, 13th. So just to say, the Skip Barber should say. And also, yeah, the big decision that and news that it's this current season is the last season as well. That will be broadcast on SimSpeed in full due to just developments that will be announced in due course. But here's what we've got to look forward to for this season, David. A real quality lineup, I'd have to say, of circuits. Are going to take us all around the world, starting here in England with Oulton Park. But yeah, I can see mainland Europe, Japan, America, Mexico, and coming home to Australia to cap things off as well.
And it's a classic Aussie car schedule as well, with standard rounds, sprint rounds, and one endurance round. So starting here at Oulton Park, and then Saxon Ring in 2 weeks' time, Okayama, Sonoma, another track that's had a bit of an iRacing graphical update, and then a brand new track, Mexico City, and Mount Panorama, a bit overdue for a graphical update. Let's make it happen. But we love that track nonetheless, and it has been very good in these skip barbers. Just 2 minutes away from heading to the grid for race 2 as the sun comes out over the track. Very quick break here on SimSpeed TV with one more race of Ozicar to come.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, we're back for race 2, Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series from Oulton Park. This season of Ozicar on SimSpeed TV, presented by Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, by Locked On Lads, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. Beautiful to be back in the Skip Barber for Ozicar, and it's lovely to see the sun pop out. So a recap on the weather is it rained during practice. The rain ceased during qualifying. We didn't get any extra rain during race 1 or across the warm-up. And as we go, the sun has come out. A little bit of water has come off the track, but these are not sweeper trucks. They're Ozicar Formula Skip Barbers, so we're not moving the water especially quickly. Race 2's grid will be a progressive grid from the finishing order of race 1. So it was just a couple of minutes ago that we saw the results, which was John Merritt, the race winner. So he'll get to start from pole position with Adam Miles in second, Cam Dance, Luke Sincotta, Tom Freer as the top 5. If you're a driver that didn't set a good qualifying time, but had a clean race 1, you will find yourself in a better position here for race 2.
Yeah, without a doubt. Looks like we're going to have 27 cars on the grid here as the revs are up. It's time to get ready for the final race of the night here for the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. And we drop the hammer as the lights go green here at the front of the field, and immediately the front runners all fall in line to the left-hand side of the road behind John Merritt. 2 wide, though, between Freer and Stovall and the Synergy teammates, and almost 3 wide with Neil Gardner poking his nose in for a moment, but backs out of it as further on back in the field. We've got Nathan Verney doing a bit of lawn mowing there on the outside of turn 1, but we get through okay so far as down into turn 3 for the first time in this second race.
Perfect start from Adam Miles, starting with low tyre pressures on a wet and cold track can certainly be difficult. Adrian Duke also making some spots. Gavin Barber making a couple. Mark Baumann going from 24th to 21st. The track is a little bit drier. It's still got some marbles on it, and it's still certainly wet. The spray less in race 2 than it was in race 1. There's almost a hint of a drying line. Lap times could be a little bit quicker. John Merritt, though, using that slipstream that's going to be even more powerful in these conditions to try to take the race lead back from Miles. The inside looked like the place to be in race 1. And for race 2, Adam Miles still manages to hold on to his race lead heading up the hill. Tom Freer up in the 4th at the expense of Luke Cincotta as Nathan Verney is out in the gravel.
Yeah, unfortunately, did some law mowing at the old Bull Corners, had something happen to him into Knickerbrook as Dance will take second place away from Merritt through Druids here towards the end of lap number 1. It's very much, get the run, make a pass, and then try and settle in and prepare for the next pass you can make, it seems, and very easy to get freight trained here. And 100%, a lot of these corners, a dry line is forming. Starting track state when they got underway was very lightly wet, but as you can see, there's most definitely still some poses. Cincotta will be the first driver from the front of the field to take to the pit lane. He's joined by Adrian Duke, I believe, and Sean Doyle, Brody Shepherd, Dan Stevens, Elliot D, Timothy Harris, Mark Paneras. I've got 7 or 8 of this. Bowling's gone around on his own out on track as a host of drivers in the pits. That's a nasty wreck for 32.
Well, we saw a variation of strategies across race 1. John Merritt's strategy was go long, and it was successful for the race lead. But the strategy of pit early for Miles also worked out. Your race lead has gone off the road at 4. Too much speed, touched the grass. It's still not flat out. Freer goes through in a second. John Merritt takes the race lead back. Cameron Dance is in 3rd, and Adam Miles runs 5th after that. No chicanes on this layout means they get up to speed over the hill here. The slipstream comes in, and Cameron Dance will have plenty of opportunities to get back into this. That was a little bit of an own goal. Looking to the inside, Tom Freer touches the grass to get to the inside of John Merritt. He'll yield heading up the hill at Knickerbrook. Freer leads, but Merritt and Dance are right back in this.
Yeah, all that time gain for Dance happens there as they negotiate things, and it means that Stovall now on Dance's gearbox and Adam Miles there as well. So it's 5 cars all lined up nose to tail here at the end of lap 2 in this case, and it really seems to be a condition of, like if you can find some clean air and you can just run your own race with none of this back and forth, like you obviously lose the drafting advantage, but if you can maybe hit your marks and run your corners exactly the way you want, that could certainly be beneficial as Dance tries the outside at Lodge Corner, just like he did in race 1 against Adam Miles. And once again, though, he'll lose out. This time, though, John Merritt and stay 3rd place. End of lap 2 of 11 here in our final race tonight.
If only there were 2 teammates who got into some clean air by pitting at the end of the first lap. Luke Cincotta is the leading car to have stopped. Adrian Duke was with him, but seems to have made a mistake and lost some time, and Miles has been sideways, getting past Jamie Stovall. Tom Freer still leading. So it's now dramas for Cincotta. Oh my goodness, these 2 drivers, these teammates, powered by coffee, were in such a great position. They were the leading cars to have stopped with their early pit stops, and now Adrian Duke and Luke Cincotta have both gone and thrown it away. Sean Doyle is the highest running car to have cleared the compulsory pit stop. And this is what happened for Cincotta. So it's into Lodge Corner. Looped it, just going too much speed in there. Don't know exactly what befell Adrian Duke, but certainly from a positive position, both of them have had some unique issues. The battle for the lead on track carries on. John Merritt, Tom Freer, Adam Miles now up into 3rd. This moves so quickly anytime they get onto a long straight. Stovall, Dance, Gardner, a name that got a good result out of race 1, but just wasn't quite in the battle pack. Now he is.
And it just makes me wonder here, is someone got the confidence to go early and also be able to keep it on the road? Because, so far it's a whole bit of scrapping as Tom Freer up past Jamie Stovall for 3rd as they stay on board here with Neil Garner. 6th place back of this snake that has built up here as they run onto the front stretch once more. Fast lap for Merritt, then immediately replaced by Gardner. It's going to be a 1:48.7. So indeed, track continuing to dry, pace continuing to increase here in the Skip Barbers on this second run around tonight. But none of the top 6 willing to jump into the pits and sacrifice the draft for a spot, a compulsory stop done already, because they'd probably come out. And Sean Doyle is now dropped to 30 seconds behind the race lead. So with no one in front of him to draft off of, it's actually been caught by Dan Stevens from what I can see.
It's all back and forth, and the gaps can close or open quickly on a wet track. And once they close, the slipstream is still in effect. And it creates all this sort of racing. Oh, Sean Doyle ahead of Daniel Stevens, and they're still searching for where's the grip. Has the grip moved around through some of these corners? Are we getting closer to a conventional racing line, or are you still finding speed by going around the outside of turn 3, around the outside of turn 5? And what about when you go side by side through turn 4? Where's the grip there? Well, I think if you just throw it down the inside, you can find enough if you're Daniel Stevens. He runs in 13th ahead of Doyle and is now the leading car to have made their compulsory pit stop, but is 33 seconds behind John Merritt, outright leading this race for the moment.
Yeah, I'd say they're about 4 or 5 seconds too far back to be really close to competing here. Another battle that's on track here. Gavin Barber versus Trevor Hearn, and Gavin, one of our other drivers on the Zoom all tonight. You can see here, got that seat mover as well to sort of feel the extra bit of action. This actually think is a bit of a new angle that I haven't seen from Gav when he's provided us a zoom cam before. So over the shoulder a bit more. As you can see, actually he dives to pit lane here to get his compulsory stop ticked off here at the end of lap number 4.
So your two schools of thought are normally take that stop early or take that stop late in the middle of the race. Who knows? But if you find that you want that clean air, then go for it when it suits. Gavin Barber comes in. A little bit of lap traffic just up the road could be giving some anxiety for Adam Miles. It's not for John Merritt as he pulls out of the slipstream. We've seen that the inside of turn 4 seemed like a good place to be in the previous battle, but Miles will hold the race lead and hold his own around the outside of 4. And then the high line in 5 is where he's wanted to be previously, and it's just going to hold himself. It is the Angry Snake again of 6 cars out of the turn 5 hairpin.
Freer versus Dance on the run to Knickabrook. Miles versus Merritt as well. And in fact, actually Merritt backs out and stays in second place. Does not opt to hunt for the race lead on this occasion, as Freer, perhaps a little protective of his car, will run a bit wider than he absolutely had to. Stovall will take a place away here up towards Druids. And Neil Gardner still holding position in the battle, as it were, but he's also keeping a bit of distance, I really have to say. He's clearly not hustling as hard as these guys. Whether that's by design, I just don't know right now, to be honest. It's keeping him plenty in touch as these guys keep on duking it out corner by corner. But clearly putting himself in a position where he's not right there, David.
What we don't have as a graphic is the measure of track wetness that JRT gives me, which was 50% in race 1, but it's down to 33% here in race 2. The lap times are certainly a couple of seconds a lap quicker. So John Merritt will take that race lead back, and a bit of space forms between the top 3 and the rest. Miles trying to go around the outside at turn 2, gets on the wet part, gets sideways, doesn't place himself well for the Cascades, bottom of the hill at turn 3, but they're starting to get more confidence in this top 3, I think. And Trevor Hearn pits, Mark Bowman pits. You've now really just got your top 6 and Peter Wilkinson that haven't stopped now.
Yep, and lap time's been traded now between Duke and it was Cam Dance, but it was a 1:47.1, now 46.7. So Adrian Duke's got the confidence and the rhythm in him now, and he's just caught the back of the Stevens and Hearn and Doyle group as Trevor Hearn and Doyle contact at the Cascades, and off goes the 14 into the weeds slightly there. Drops off the back of the pack, as well as another car there off in the background making a bit of a lawn-mowing excursion. Was that someone like, I can't quite pick up who that might have been. It was Gavin Barber, okay, pardon me, there we go. It's back on for the lead between Miles and Merritt. will be the 85. It leads the 18 still here on lap number 6 through George.
7 cars that haven't stopped. 6 of them are in shot right here. This 11-lap race is going to be time certain. It's going to go to that 11 laps. So towards the end of the pit window is when we expect to see anyone. But could there be a surprise of someone who jumps just a lap or two early? It won't be this top 3. It'll be back there. It'll be Tom Freer, who'll leave his teammate Jamie Stovall out. Neil Gardner will stay out. Peter Wilkinson, the only other question mark. As that, Trevor Hearns had more issues, and Daniel Stevens versus Adrian Duke versus Sean Doyle is the leading cars to have stopped. But Tom Freer could come out ahead of them if that leading group's been racing quick enough.
It's the $1 million question we wanted to get an answer for. We're going to get it slightly earlier. I did think they were still going to be in front by a couple of seconds. It will be proven true here as Freer leaves the pits, and a good 3 to 4 seconds up as Miles has gone off the road through the island bend and will sacrifice his first and second places to Merritt and Dance respectively. Still right there though, David, so he'll have a chance to get back here on the run to Knickerbrook.
Well, they're all trying to be so committed through turn 4, and sometimes that commitment backfires a little bit. John Merritt leading Cam Dance. Adam Miles cedes that lead, but it's still all within reach. That slipstream on this no chicane configuration is getting even more powerful, it seems, as the track dries out and their speed increases and Cameron Dance heads side by side up the hill to try to take this race lead away from John Merritt. As they approach that pit window, do you want to be at the lead of the pack racing into the lane?
I wouldn't mind being in the lead if I happen to be out in circuit, just for the sake of being able to then give yourself more vision of where you want to start braking for the pit entry. At least if you're really trying to push the pit entry. There's a 50k an hour speed limit here at Oulton Park, so you have to get it down, even in these cars, a decent amount of speed. As we look to see here, Adam Miles will peel to the pit lane, so he ducks out of the fight, and it is a slightly tricky entry there. You take it across to the right and then come back to the left, and you want to make sure you're using all of the available width and pace you can bring into there.
It's almost like Merritt was faking towards the pit entry. Cameron Dance didn't buy it, but Adam Miles thought about it, and having gone off the track that lap, under the pressure of trying to lead this group, he thought maybe it's time to make my pit stop. Tom Freer was the leading car to have made the stop, ahead of Duke and Stevens, which is this battle. But I think Adam Miles will get out ahead of the whole lot of them. So running long in the lead has worked out. As Miles, he is ahead of Freer, who is ahead of Adrian Duke, who sets a new fastest lap of the race on this drying racetrack.
Yeah, so that's actually very interesting to see here. Freer ends up, a couple of seconds ahead of Duke. Apologies, it was Adam Miles to Freer. That was the number we were sort of thinking about a moment ago there on screen. And that gives you sort of a marker of 23 seconds. Okay, so that's where you want to be, which means that it's going to have to be something drastic between these two to change the situation. As the reminder comes up over the radio, David, get your compulsory stop done soon, as these two up the hill to Druids, and nose to tail, no fight this time by the looks of things.
I don't think they are in need of the reminder. I think they've worked out what their strategy is going to be. Would have thought about it after race 1 and into race 2, that if we're going and motoring along out front, just stay out. And Merritt is going to do similarly in race 2 as he did in race 1. 4 to go, about to be 3 to go, so they don't need to pit this time around, but it looks like Dance will go for it. This is actually a pretty ideal situation for John Merritt, because now he's all by himself leading the race. He can put down his lap times, and that's what led him to success in race 1. As Dance, Stovall, Gardner come in, it's just John Merritt who remains allergic to pit lane.
Indeed, the only driver who hasn't stopped in this one, which means we're just waiting now to see exactly how far he wants to take it. As we also look at Ira Felberg and Craig Tilson on screen, I can see Dan Stevens and Adrian Duke going at it for 7th place. As here we come out of the pits, Miles with the undercut is going to jump past Cameron Dance and almost clear him on draft. I don't know the exact draft ranges. Oh, Stovall nice through the pits, and Tom Freer sliding it to try and get past Neil Gardner, but Gardner out on track gets ahead.
Freer went so wide, he's actually picked up a slowdown penalty out there. So Adam Miles leads Cam Dance ahead of Jamie Stovall. Gardner up into 5th. ahead of Tom Freer with all that just transpired there. The time that Adrian Duke lost earlier in this race has been so costly because he's got so much speed, but he just hasn't been placed well. It's Gardner. Freer with that really high line that worked well when the track was super wet. I think it's still working well enough right now. And approaching 2 laps to go, expecting John Merritt's pit stop. And he is going to have to work so hard for that overcut if he's going to get in the lane and get out still ahead of Adam Miles, his main threat to clean sweeping Oulton Park.
Will it be this time? I think it should be. Yep, he's off to the right-hand side of the circuit. Into the pit lane comes your race leader to clear the compulsory stop requirements. So eyes on Adam Miles now as he's just come out of the Druids corner and has a comfortable 1.4 seconds back to Cameron Dance. The question just now remains, is this 1.4 seconds going to be enough to clear Merritt? You would actually somewhat think so, and at least I think so, David, because Dance was right on the gearbox of Merritt when he came to the pits, but there we go, Merritt's rolling. It's going to be very close on pit exit depending on how things get up to speed.
Well, Miles is up to speed because he sets a new fastest lap of the race. That's what he needed to do with the undercut. John Merritt in the overcut, I think, is going to be able to hold on to this one. If he's got a couple of corners to build up front tyre temperature, that's okay, because he'll still be able to slipstream off Adam Miles. He'll still be able to stay in the fight. With 2 laps to go, Adam Miles wheel to wheel with John Merritt on his outlap into turn 4. The outside's a risky place to be, but Adam Miles is not afraid at all. A millimetre away from the grass. He goes around the outside of turn 4, can take his preferred racing line through 5, which I think just parks up John Merritt a little bit. But the slipstream battle will be on towards Knickerbrook. Cam Dance, 2.4 seconds behind, needs this to be a battle where both of them take a few hits.
Oh, here we go. There's the hits, all right, as we come up the hill. Oh, wheel to wheel locked together. Somehow neither car ends up going off the road, and still side by side to Knickerbrook, but Miles gets the clearance on the way through the corner. My goodness, Gardner and Freer going out of this well for 5th place in the middle of all of this happening here at the very top end of town. As Gardner off the roads is just saying that moment there will end that fight for now and possibly the race.
So this is looking like just 2 boxes in the ring heading towards the white flag. Dance hasn't been able to catch them this lap yet. Adam Miles defends the inside. It's a little bit wetter there, but the inside line is the high ground. Merritt tries to cross him over under, but Miles, 10,000 iRating, such an experienced racer, doesn't let him do it. They're going to be side by side to take the white flag for one more lap of Oulton Park Circuit. John Merritt looking for a clean sweep. Adam Miles looking for his first win of this new Ozicar season, side by side through turn 2, down towards turn 3. Miles with him covered. John Merritt now just needs to think about that run off turn 5.
I would strongly argue as well, if it gets to it, you need to be leading at Lodge Corner. We haven't seen someone make it work.
Oh, Miles is playing that same game. He's let John Merritt back through. He's thinking, no, I want you to lead through 5 because then I can pass you towards Knickerbrook. And so he's given it away because he backs himself out of the turn 5 hairpin to get a good run, to get in the slipstream over the hill and get his nose back in front where it counts, heading into the twisty final sector. So has he bet on himself, and will it come up trumps? They bang wheels again, heading over the crest. Miles, that 1 car length ahead, but still around the outside. John Merritt with it all to play for, side by side through Knickerbrook, and Miles won't be able to make it work. Merritt can surely defend this from here. A couple of right-hand corners to go, and Merritt will just park himself on the inside. Miles on the drier racing line, though, around the outside. This is Skip Barber racing, with Merritt holding the lead for one final braking zone. Miles is going to throw everything at him into Lodge Corner. Merritt's got his elbows out as wide as they can go, all the way to the inside on the straight to break into Lodge Corner. Traction down the hill towards the checkered flag, and John Merritt, with 2 Aussie car races at Oulton Park, will clean up in the wet.
And as I sort of thought would be the case, the leader into Lodge Corner able to hold on to the run to the start finish line. Well done to John Merritt and Adam Miles both for a fantastic battle there that we get to witness to finish the racing off. But whilst the racing is ended at the top of town, it is still on here for the minor placings. Ira Felberg up the inside of Craig Tilson for 15th place. Elliot D involved as well. They contacted Nicker Brook, and D going to be the biggest loser. Or maybe possibly Tilson is, oh, more cars involved. Oh, who's taking the hit there? I can't quite pick up who that is. Peter Wilkinson's got involved in it. Unfortunately there, a messy end to that mid-pack scrap.
Looks like if you break one of the half shafts, you get wheel spin and you're spraying water everywhere. That's eerily reminiscent to Wilkinson's damage in race 1 back there for Craig Tilson. He's going to do everything he can to limp to the line a bunch of damaged Skip Barbers. The moment, John Snell crabbing. Leon Williams versus Wilkinson, who's got the least damaged car on the run to the checkered flag. It looks like it could be cheapy Leon Williams. Good to have him back in Ozicar.
Yeah, it was John Snell who unfortunately collected up. I believe it was Tilson who's unfortunately lost control of the car there and after the contact with D, and ended up returning back to the circuit broadside just as the drivers behind were still at pace and trying to make their own race of it. But that will conclude us for this evening's action here on the circuit. And here come the race results to confirm it all with a 10th and a half between John Merritt and Adam Miles at the very top of town.
Cameron Dance did close them in on the final lap the way that they were battling, but he was just a bit too far back after the pit stops. John Merritt and Adam Miles timing their stops just perfectly. Completing the top 10, Jamie Stovall, Tom Freer, Adrian Duke, Neil Gardner, Nathan Verney, Brody Shepherd, and Daniel Stevens. Sean Doyle in 11th from Luke Sincotta. Didn't capitalise in race 2 as well as he did in race 1. Just a couple of ill-timed mistakes. Gavin Barber, Warren Henry, Ira Felberg, David Bowman, Jeremy Bush, Leon Williams, Peter Wilkinson, and Elliot D as 20th place. Some walk-in wounded coming home to the tail end of the lead lap here. John Snell and Craig Tilson. 1 lap down, Tim Harris, Mark Bowman, and Peter Bowling. Mark Paneris, 3 laps down. Trevor Hearn, 5 laps down. Brett Gerards, an early retirement from Oulton Park. A couple of our drivers are going to step alongside us and have a chat.
Yes, it sounds like, and looks like we've got our podium from race 2 at the very least here with us, David. So what order do we want to go with? I'm just thinking, well, it's 1, 2, 3.
Let's get to Cam Dance. Cam Dance joins us back in Ozicar after a little bit of time away. Does it feel comfy to be back?
Oh, mate, it feels bloody awesome. That was awesome. Like, I haven't done racing like that in quite some time. And, yeah, no, it's good to be back after that sort of racing. So, yeah, bring it on for the rest of the season.
Interesting track state. And these skippies don't seem to move a whole lot of water. So when the track starts wet, it stays relatively wet.
Yeah, it was interesting doing my first laps in this car in the wet this afternoon, this evening, to be honest, in practice. I was like, I'm not sure about this, but we'll see how it goes. So, no, it ended up being not too bad, to be honest. And, like, with the fact that it's got, like, a sort of road tyre, you were sort of able to not worry about the cold tyre too much like you would with a normal racing wet in, like, GT3s or GTPs or something like that. So it was actually quite nice for a change to be able to actually push a little bit on the first lap or two. But no, it was really, really good racing, even though despite the fact that you had like a completely different track state that I don't think anybody really even intended to expect. And yeah, it just mixed it up quite a bit and made it really, really good.
Strategy-wise, what were you thinking, and do you think it worked out for you?
I didn't really have a plan, to be honest. I was just kind of going off what happened with everything that was going on around me in race 1. I was kind of expecting to just go long like we sort of did in race 2 and then just throw on some tyres, jump out, go again, and then carry on from there. But with the fact I obviously redressed to Tom, which I apologise for that. That was a bit of a mistake on my part. But yeah, with the fact that everything, all that chaos was happening, I was like, oh, I kind of probably have to box here at some point or I'm going to lose too much time. And then Adam came along and I was like, who's this bloke? And found out he was pretty quick in race 2. And then it was like, Yeah, right. We're doing what we're doing here, just basing it off what everybody else is doing around me. So yeah, it was kind of not really any sort of game plan. I think going forward, we'll probably just end up doing the same as what we did previously. We'll try and go long as best we can, or try and get some clean air depending on the track. But yeah, there wasn't really any plan, to be honest.
Well, it's good to have you back in Ozicar. You make a bit of a groove on the third step of the podium with 2 third places, and the way the points work out. A couple of other good weekends, and you're still right in this.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be just all about being consistent and making sure we're scoring some decent points along the way. Like we've seen in the past, where it's like you can have like maybe a bad round and then sort of catch back up later on in the season. But with drop rounds, it'll be helpful as well in that regard. But yeah, still going to have to be consistent at the end of the day. As it's all about just points and making sure you're scoring points rather than finishing down the back. It's going to be better to take like a 5th position rather than trying to potentially win or bin it and potentially bin it for 3rd place sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, and there's a couple of good tracks as well, so looking forward to it.
It'll be so good. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, cheers, boys.
Okay, Dan, podium actually identical from race 1 and race 2. So as Adam Miles joins us, 2nd place from race 1 and 2nd place from race 2, Dan.
It sure is indeed. And the important thing I think for you, Adam, is we just talk to you about your race. Congrats, by the way, on the results. Unlucky to miss out on a win in race 2 in particular, but race 1 had to start 14th on the grid, and you chose to pit early, which seemed to work for you, getting the clear air. But you also carved through a lot of the field there on lap 1, and just a lot of confidence, it seems, once you got underway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was confident in qualifying that I'd be able to get the pole, and then just the nature of the wet, put half a wheel to the left, got a wobble on, and looped it around through Knickebrook. So fortunately, my iRating made me start P14 rather than right at the back, so that was good. Yeah, lap 1 was an adventure. Managed to keep it clean. I don't know where, like 14th to 8th or something like that. I don't know how we did. And yeah, that was always the plan: get into the pits early and sort of use my pace in free air to carve my way through the field that way.
And it worked beautifully for you, without a doubt. And then race 2, you get the chance to actually run with the pack at the very front of the field and show us what you had from lights to flag. And we had our eyes on you pretty much the entire time as well. Obviously, with the draft being so powerful in a car like this, and the lack of the chicanes here tonight along the backstretch, very powerful there from Shell Oil's corner up to Knickebrook. But obviously, we saw a couple of games there. How many times do you reckon there was a chance you had a run, but you chose not to really sort of make use of it? In a lot of that strategy game, you're playing there to try and pick the right time to make a move.
I think it was more about just being on the correct side of the track. I didn't want to come down that straight on the left side, because I know under braking there was sort of water on the left and middle of the track. So trying to go around the outside through Knickebrook was a non-starter. So I only really made moves if I could get it on the right-hand side, which sometimes there was a gap, sometimes there wasn't. Sometimes there was a gap and then there wasn't when someone closed it off. But yeah, it was just too dangerous really to try and make a move on the left-hand side there. Even at the end of race 2, it was still pretty wet in the middle.
Fair point indeed. Yes, it definitely made it interesting to watch as the track developed there, and you guys started running a more dry line at points, but still very good. I think valuable to note there that the track wasn't always perfect, depending on the puddle remaining after the rain beforehand. Well, first weekend round checks off. We don't go racing for another 2 weeks, but when we do go racing, it'll be a sprint round, 3 races, 15 minutes each at the Saxon Ring for the second round of the season. A twistier track, but going to have another long stretch opportunity there around the back of the circuit. Looking ahead at that, what do you think that's going to be like in a skip arb like this, and also the possibility of rain? But I guess we don't know.
Yeah, we didn't know. I haven't actually, despite Saxon Ring having been on the Skippy schedule, I think 2 seasons ago. It was one of the few weeks where I was unfortunately had to travel for work, so I don't own the track, but I've seen a few broadcasts and Twitch streams of people racing. It looks like a lot of fun, very high speed. So yeah, looking to buy that track and get some practice in before 2 weeks comes up.
Well, indeed. Look forward to seeing what you can do then in that case. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go here tonight with the second places across the board?
I mean, of course, got to thank the folks in the com box. Thank you to all of you for doing the broadcast. I'll look forward to watching that after work later. Thanks to Ira for organising. It was nice for them to drop the invite into the Skippy Discord. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known this was going on. And yeah, just thanks to my partner as well, Hannah. She always supports me in all my racing. Unfortunately, she's not around to watch this race, but I'm sure she'll watch it back later as well.
Well, there we are. Adam Miles, second place in both races. Thank you very much for joining us here today, and all the best with the next round in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, Daniel.
And that just leaves us one more driver to speak to here, David, and I'll hand you to talk to the man who came out on top, which was John Merritt.
Yep, all of that takes us one step further up the podium, twice on the top step. There's some talent for this season of Ozicar, John.
Oh, you're not wrong, David. Yeah, no, the field was pretty deep tonight, and a couple of newcomers, mate, which makes it good fun.
Strategy-wise, you ran long both races, but there were plenty of other drivers elsewhere in the pack that sort of took that lap one pit stop. Not a whole lot of difference to the car balance with a fresh set of fronts on.
Probably had a bit more front turn, I think, when the fresh tyres went on, even though they didn't have heat in them. But the car was definitely better on the warmer tyres, just from a balance perspective. So that's probably why I wanted to run long if I could. Probably managed to drag Adam into the pits a lap early, which fortunately worked out. I didn't know how that would wash out when I got back out.
So what was going to be your goal? What was key? Was it about getting a bit of clean air? Was there pace to be had working with other drivers? How were you trying to manage it in your ideal world?
Oh, I think fresh air would have been ultimately the best, but that racing in that second race was fantastic with all the guys, with Cam and Adam and mate, probably happy to sit there and have the race rather than get fresh air, and obviously run the risk if you pit it early, you may drop back in the middle of the field somewhere and find your own trouble. So I was happy to run long.
And an ever-evolving track. Here's a fun stat for you. 2 11-lap races, but race 2 looks like it was 1 minute and 2 seconds quicker.
Yeah, it was definitely far better conditions in that second race. I don't know if I had the ultimate pace, at least looking at the lap times, but probably managed to get that little gap in the first 5 laps, which worked out.
And a bunch of returning faces, bunch of new faces. Always good at the start of a new season to have a big turnout like this.
Yeah, just I hope it holds on. I mean, I haven't done a lot of Skippy racing, but these are awesome fun. So, change of all the wet conditions. Night one was probably a challenge, but hopefully everyone comes back for the following rounds. And thanks obviously Ira for a great series.
If you were going to get rubberized floor mats for a Toyota Hilux, where would you go?
Oh, a Chuka Toyota, but I've got to say Melbourne City Lexus now. I've just got to update that paint, Dave.
Oh, fair enough. And congratulations on the 2 race wins, kicking off our new season in style. Great to see you and great to chat.
No, thank you. Thank you, SimSpeed, for the broadcast.
Well, there we go. Our whole podium joining us, and all of them in pretty good spirits after that great racing we've seen from Oulton Park. It's 2 weeks' time, Dan, till we go racing again. Who knows what the weather will be like at the Saxon Ring, but certainly the drivers, the competition, it's all set up for a great season. Yeah,
100%. This was a fantastic field to see kick off this season here tonight. And to go from a cult British classic circuit to one that perhaps sees more favour in the motorcycle world in Germany at the Saxon Ring. But as Adam was saying, based on what he's seen around the places elsewhere, there's plenty of potential here when we come to Germany for round 2 in 2 weeks' time.
Can't wait. You'll see it all here on SimSpeed TV as we bring you season 38 of Ozicar in the Skip Barber. I've been David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman, Jay Kennedy on our production. Ozicar Formula Skip Barber series presented by Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, Locked On Lads, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. We'll see you next time out.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.